On today's show, I have a special guest, Samantha Gibb. She has a brand new song out called Good Lovin. We're going to talk about that and much more. But to get up to speed, Samantha's been creating a lot of good music for some time in different incarnations, including Luna Park, Samantha Gibb and the Cartel, the Gibb Collective, probably more I don't even know of. Her frequent collaborator is Lazaro Rodriguez, also part of the BE or MEG Empire. And the one thing I have to add is Samantha is a transplant from Miami to Nashville, and I think she's really embraced that. In fact, so much so, she made a documentary called A Nashville State of Mind. So we've got a lot to talk about, Samantha. Welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me.
Boy, that you just reading all your accomplishments and band names is it's very impressive.
We've gone through a few, yeah.
You know, so many people have come to Nashville, and it's not just country. There's a great alternative scene. But I'm curious, you moved from a really cool place, Miami. What drew you to Nashville?
I think it was, well, what originally got me out here is my band and I were trying to, we were just trying to play out more and just get more gigs and stuff. And I was friends at the time. I mean, I had known for years Doc McGee and Scott McGee from McGee Entertainment. They do like he's Kiss is his big artist still. But I spoke to them and they both recommended going out to Nashville and trying to do like a residency gig. So we were like, okay, he told us about some great artists out there to connect with. And so like me and my band, it was like four other guys were just like, let's just go and check it out. Let's just try. So we went out and we set it up for a month and we met within the first night. We met like probably five of the different artists that were in the documentary and had a big jam session and just passing around a guitar. And it was just this incredible energy. And the boys and I went back to our like I guess the house that we rented. They weren't really Airbnbs then, but yeah, it was this house we were renting, and we just all stayed up. We were all like up all night just talking, and we're just like, we can't leave. Like we have to stay here. This is just amazing. So we made that decision then that we were going to come back at the end of the year, around after Christmas, and we were going to move. And that's when we like in 2007, I think we did that.
So you kind of were ahead of the curve because even since then, it seems like it's grown even more. And it is such a mecca, and not just performers, but songwriters. It seems like they have a really
Uh,
special place there.
Absolutely. I mean, it was definitely, I mean, coming here was a huge, I mean, just learning from everybody and seeing the amazing talent and like just playing these little bars and clubs, and you're just like, what? It just blew my mind. It really kind of it really also, if you were going to continue writing or keep making music, if you can't make it here, if you can't push through and get past, like, because you got your critics like in the audiences, like everybody is watching. Even just the kid that lives down the road is an incredible musician, so when you see them in the audience, you're like, "Ugh," I hope I impress them. So really kind of, if you can push through it, then you're like, yeah, this is what I really want to do. Or you're going to be like, yeah, maybe I want to try something else,
Mhm.
you
Well, I
know?
bet it's that feeling wherever you're performing, you never know if, is Brad Paisley just going to show up in the audience, or Tony Brown scouting new talent.
Yeah, it's everywhere. It's crazy. Very cool.
Well, even though you're billed, as a solo artist on the new release, it seems like there's just, band in your heart. Like you seem
Hmm.
like a band person. And then do you feel that way? Like you like the camaraderie, the collaboration of a band?
Yeah, absolutely. I am not like I'm not very comfortable just being the head or the lead of something. Even with every band, it was we all had you know a voice in everything, and yeah, I appreciated that. I like working with other people. I think uh thinking for me, just thinking that if you can do something with other people, I think it's always going to be better. If you can work together on something, because then you're also getting these other concepts, and you're not just you kind of get out of your own way, when you work with other people too. I think it helps.
Well, when I first started listening to Good Lovin' and watching the video,
Hmm.
I think you did both a lyric video and then the video with you there at the piano and the meaningful lyrics. But I
Hmm.
was trying to think, okay, on the lyrics, I was expecting this really peppy summer song, good lovin' on the beach. And then it turned out to be very serious and had a lot of relationship heartache but at the same time, some empowerment. I'm not going to put up with this. And I'm just wondering, what did you base this on? Was this a little cathartic for you?
It was there wasn't like an intent, like when we started writing, it was Laz and I kind of came up with the concept in the beginning of just, yeah, it was, we had the first line and it was, there's no reason to be unkind. So it was just kind of this idea for that. And we ended up, we did the song with a great friend. He's out in the UK called Jim Lawton. He's a really great artist, writer. He has a band called Electric Enemy. Very cool dude. And we did a Skype, and within like two Skype, like 2 hour sessions of two Skypes, I mean, sorry, Zooms, we had come up with the whole song. And it was just when we started talking, we kind of loved the idea of where it's, because it's funny because people have asked, like, when I'm saying you're not so, effing special. I'm not sure if I can curse on here, but in saying that, it's also, I'm saying that to myself, just like, like, I don't, like, no one's that special to tell somebody how to do something. Everybody's just wants to be happy. At least that's what I want. Like, I don't need to be special. I just need to be happy. That's, and I think growing up in the background that I come from with, my dad, being in the brothers and stuff and the Bee Gees, that really, I have a lot of, I guess, there's a way that people kind of want me to make music or do things, and I I've kind of worked and figured out how I can find my place in that, where I feel most comfortable in myself, and I think that's where this song also, it spoke to me as we kept writing it. It unfolded into what it was, and I think all of us writing it with Laz and Jim and I, we all related in our own ways, whether it be, being told by a family member or being told by your friends or being told by a fan or whatever it may be, how to be or how to live your life. And then it also relates to so many things that I just believe very wholeheartedly in and I'm very strong advocate for, like the LGBTQ and just being able to completely be yourself without being told what other people's ideas are of you.
Well, the effing special brought me back to the 90s and the song Creep.
Yeah.
Was
Okay.
that like a reference to that?
No, it wasn't, but I that's cool.
Which doesn't Radiohead say, when you have a really big hit
Hmm.
and then it haunts you and you have to play
Well,
it
I don't know
every
personally. I
concert?
haven't gone there yet, but
Well,
I've
I
seen
hope I
it.
hope Good Lovin' will become your creep. So like Radiohead, you'll say, "Gosh, I hope I never have to play that in concert ever again. We always have to play
Well,
that."
thankfully, I really enjoy it. It's like with Creep, it's a great song, So if you enjoy the song and you like what you're saying, then that can help.
Exactly. No, I love the singers who say, you know what? Yeah, I sing this song a lot, but you know what? My fans love it, and I love my fans, and they made me successful. So
Hmm.
even though this is like the 2000th time I've done it, I will
Hmm.
happily sing that song that the fans love.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, that's what I mean. They're your fans because that was the music that got them started for a lot of them.
When you
Um,
first started out, did you do a lot of covers?
yeah, when I started playing out, we were definitely playing our own stuff, but always included covers. Because my whole kind of thought process was, well, even if they don't like our stuff, then at least we're playing songs that they're gonna remember, that they can sing along to, that they like. So we'll entertain no matter what. Like that was kind of my idea. So I always wanted to have some just good covers in there that kind of meshed in with our stuff. So yeah, I guess, a few here and there. And I definitely have covered a couple of my dad's older stuff that, wasn't really very, out there or successful or whatever. It's just kind of fun to pull out some stuff like that. But Yeah.
Well, your dad, Morris Gibb of the Bee Gees,
Hmm.
amazing, not just amazing, legendary group. And
Yeah.
what I love is you carrying that legacy. We could probably go off on a million tangents, but the two things I especially like is you did get a chance to work with your dad,
Hmm.
and then also to honor him with the MEG name. Can you kind of just briefly say what projects did you get to work with him on? And I think, didn't he produce one or two albums that you did?
Yeah, he the Luna Park one was the first one we put together, that he was fully on, where he's even played on and helped to kind of help harness what we were doing, I guess, and just kind of figure out what we liked. What he was so good at just letting us figure it out, not telling us what the sound should be. And he like I love that he was very versatile in the way he wrote and the way he made music. So even though they had a style with the Bee Gees, he also he did a lot of like soundtracks and things like that, and he loved to dabble. I mean, he was very into country music as well, but just dance music. I mean, like there was lots of the bass lines, because I mean, he played a lot of instruments, but he loved the bass and he was very good with the bass. So that was cool to be able to learn from him and figure that out. So Luna Park, and then I want to say, I think the Samantha Gibb project, we just put that out because that was when he had passed, but we had done a bunch of music together. So we wanted to make sure we put that out. And we'd also just started the company. It was about, I think, a year maybe after he had passed. And we put together Meg Productions, with his initials, which is MEG. We put that together to kind of keep his studio going and keep creating music. And kind of that's been our kind of motto, is that's why we don't really fall into a category of music, like myself and Laz as writers. Like we don't really fall into a category, or me as an artist, because I love all kind of styles and I like exploring it all. So yeah. I don't
When
know
you
if that
grow
answered
up,
it.
sure. When you grow up with a father who's a musician, is a lot of what you learn by osmosis? Did a lot of people take classes, a lot of people learn an instrument, but it seems like you had the opportunity to maybe like hang out in the studio and
Yeah.
just soak up that experience when you were younger.
I mean, I think when I was really young, I wasn't as much in the studio. I think when I was around 11 or 12 is when I mean, that's still young, but that's when I
Mhm.
started kind of going in more. And that's when, because I also was in a little girl group before all of that with my friends when we were like 11 and 12. So that kind of started opening up little doors, and my dad seeing like, oh, wow, like she's really into this and she really loves doing it, because he never wanted to push what he did or
Mhm.
music on my brother or myself. And so once he started seeing that, he was just like, okay, like, let's get in the studio and like, so I would go and watch them recording, or if there's different people in the studio, I get to go and check that out. And that was amazing, and then little by little, we would go in and we'd have a little side studio while they were working. And we have this little side, bit, and we'd start writing. My brother and we started together at first. And then I had a friend kind of working, and then Lazaro came into the fold, so we got to do a lot of work with them. But
Mm-hmm. And now, your studio you've set up. Like what did you learn when you were younger, by seeing, these people at the top of their game in the studio? What from that did you bring to Meg Studios when you said, "Hey, you know what? I'm just not just going to be a singer, songwriter. I want to create this place for me to record, but also for other people to record at."
I wanted to be like I don't know, a safe space, just be able to write and make music. And I think especially coming out, when we came out to Nashville, it was, we'd come out to play and get really like kind of hone our craft, but then we got very distracted, myself and the boys, even because we fell in love with all these other artists. And all I wanted to do was like capture them and put them in, like, when you see something, like you see a video or music video and it's got all the lights and everything like that, and you see all of a sudden the artist in this glowing light, and I wanted to give them that glowing light, because their voices and their music was amazing. So all of a sudden we just completely went into that world of just wanting to work with other people and write for other people. And that's kind of, I think that's where it really started for Meg. We knew we were going to open the studio there, but we weren't sure even like how we could work with other people. But that was I guess the beginning of that, with media, with how we can help them build their brand, or like, okay, what can we do to help you with, I don't know, just writing a press release or just things like that, just being able to be helpful and to give them a space to make music in.
Well, it seems
So
like you don't do anything in a small way. Like when you come to town, you don't just sing, but you open a studio, you make a documentary. Like, have you always just dove in and just done big things?
no, no, I think that Nashville was probably it was kind of like I don't know. It was huge. I just know that as soon as once we started driving in through the mountains, when we at the first day coming in, I just remember thinking to myself that I felt at home. And that was strange for me because I grew up in Miami my whole life, and I mean England as well. So I could call that my home as well. But I just never left, and that leaving and not even knowing what I was going into, that was pretty. It was pretty powerful to feel that comfortable, And I
So,
guess that's where it's, yeah. Sorry, go ahead.
yeah, yeah. And so a few years ago, one of your incarnations, the Gibb Collective, was
Mhm.
reading up on that, and it was so intriguing that each of the Gibb brothers had one of their children in it. Like, you were Morris's child, and then Barry's. I'm trying to think. Didn't like
Rob,
Robin's son Spencer and Barry's
yes,
son, was that Stephen?
yeah. It was Peta, my uncle Andy's daughter,
Hmm.
my brother, which is the eldest son of my dad, and myself. There was Stephen, who's the eldest of my uncle Barry, and Travis, his younger son. He was on there as well. And then from Uncle Robin, there was Spencer, as well as his younger son, RJ, Robin John.
Oh wow! So you're almost like the Osmonds.
Well, yeah, and actually, my aunt Barry is, but she passed the other not too long ago, but she was on there as well, which is their sister. It's she was adopted by my grandmother and is there. This
Mhm.
was my dad and my uncle's sister, so she was on that as well.
Well, besides just being able to cover, your father's and uncle's songs,
Mhm.
was there something special about that connection, that bond you had as cousins?
I think so. I mean, we all it was really cool because the concept kind of came and we just like I reached out to all of the family, like even everybody, Australia, everywhere, just reached out and it was just nice to see whoever got back and who was wanting to do it. And it was really just a matter of like, pick one of your favorites and put your own spin on it. And that was kind of the concept. And it was even down to like if you wanted to add artwork or a spoken word, or there was like what could we do here? So there's all these different ideas, and then it just unfolded into where it's covers in their own kind of ideas for the covers.
I was
But
really impressed by the song selection because there were a lot of earlier songs, a lot of ballads. There weren't a lot of the, obvious pop hits. And it
mhm,
just seemed like you all picked things that were more personal.
yeah. No, absolutely. I think every song meant something meaningful to each one, you know.
Mhm. So, like for Uncle Barry, I love that you toured with him on
Hmm.
his mythology tour.
Hmm.
And through the magic of YouTube, I was looking at some videos, and
Hmm.
there's just this great moment when he did the song Immortality, which
Hmm.
I think had a slideshow and like a tribute to his
Hmm.
brothers, to his
Yeah.
family. But there was another video I saw where the two of where you came, front and center with Barry, and you did How Can You Mend a Broken Heart? But then you
Hmm.
started it with a few lines from The End of the World, the old
Yes.
Skeeter Davis song, which I loved. And how
Hmm.
did that all come together?
That was actually one of my dad's favorite songs. and my
Okay.
uncle and I talked about it, and well, he had mentioned, he's the one who mentioned it, and we had talked about, because we were figuring out keys of what key to do it in, because obviously with different ranges, but it ended up that I was able to go to the higher, so it was good. And once we got the key, he was just like, I know your dad loved end of the world. Would you want to do that song as like just a little bit in the beginning? And I'm just like, let's just try. And so I tried it, and we're just like, loved it, and we're just like, okay, let's lead that in, and that was really it. It was
Mhm.
just a little like kind of nod to my dad in that way.
Mhm. What's it like to be on a big tour like that?
It's amazing. It was crazy, but it was really really fun. I love hanging with the band and everything, so that's always just fun times. And I got to take my family, so you can't beat that. Like my son was just turning 2 on the first round, and the guy got to. It was actually kind of funny because we went to this big event in Red Cliff. That was they were doing some monuments and stuff there for my dad and my uncle Barry and everybody. So there was all these people, and it's my son's birthday. And we get out of the car, and there's all these people like, yeah, clapping. But my uncle, of course, was like right in front of the car, getting out. And so I just looked at my husband. I'm just like, oh, I'm like, I really hope he doesn't think this is how every birthday is gonna go. Like, are we sending a bad message right now?
Well, even though, both your dad and Barry, I'm not sure about Robin, but, we're living in Miami.
Yeah.
What did it feel good to get back to the roots on this tour? Because didn't you spend a lot of time in both Australia and the UK?
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. Australia was incredible because I mean, I've only been there once before in my life. And so that and I didn't get to do as much. We only went to like Sydney and got to see a couple places. But this time it was like we got to spread it out and go to different places and explore more. And that was really cool. So I think that was, and UK, I mean, I spent a lot of time growing up in England too. So I mean, it's always fun going there, and I got to see a lot of family. So that's really nice.
Mhm. Now, is it true that Ringo Starr was your neighbor in Miami?
Was he? I think Eric. I thought Eric Clapton was.
Eric
I know
Clapton?
Eric was on there. Who else? I know J Lo was for a bit too down that road. Let me. You know what? I don't know, but I do know. I think he was in England because my dad and him were buddies. So I have old footage of them like in the backyard, like dressing up and like,
Oh, I bet you're
which
right. I
it's
bet it was
actually
in
out.
England.
It's actually out there because I remember seeing the
Yeah.
video and being like, who posted that? Because I'm like, that's like a old video that we had. So, but yeah, him and Ringo were good buds, at least back when they were younger, when he was like in his 20s and stuff.
So when I read about Morris, he loved the Beatles, and I loved
Mm.
hearing his stories about how he loved Paul McCartney and the bass, and that when
Hmm.
he'd hear the bass lines, he would want to copy that and incorporate that into his music.
Oh yeah, yeah, he was a big fan, as am I too. I mean, Beatles, you know, Paul
Mhm.
and John specific. I'm definitely I think more of a John lover, but I love them all. So
Well, when you were growing up, besides hanging out in the studio, who was like the one person in that world, in those circles that really gave you good advice or really inspired you?
my dad, honestly, I didn't
Hmm.
really get a lot of advice. I mean, people give you advice and stuff or try to tell you stuff, but I think the most solid came from my dad, to be honest.
Hmm.
His,
And
his
what was
big
some?
thing was, oh, sorry, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, and what was some of the best advice he gave you?
Just I can open the door, but it's up to you whether you're going to stay there or not. You got to put the foot in there. Like if you want to stay in that door, it's up to you. But I can help open a door, but it's up to you if you're going to stay there. So
And I
and
know, and
sorry,
some
no.
people have trouble with that. When you
Mhm.
have such famous parents and you want to, move on. And
Mhm.
I think it's so great when I see someone like, Diana Ross's daughter,
Mhm.
Tracy Ross
Yeah,
Ellis, who kind of like
I
you're
love her.
saying, she got the open door, but she did something unique with it and, has
She
made her own
worked.
name.
She worked
And
hard, and that's what you got to do.
And it seems like that's what you're doing, but, what's been that biggest challenge? Because everyone would say, "Oh, wow, this would be such a great, jump start on a career," but there must be some challenges to that too.
I mean, there are lots of challenges. I think it's a little more. Sometimes it's challenging when people assume that there's a lot of help there, or that that I just can make things happen, or so I don't know. I guess like with my uncle or things like that, just because I went on a tour with him, that he's supposed to be helping me, or that I should be doing something collaborative with him. Those are kind of challenges when I deal with that kind of stuff coming at me, whether it's people in the business or whether it's just fans. But
Hmm.
otherwise, I mean, I mean, I don't know. I guess just I don't know if I'm answering the question correctly. I'm trying to like.
Well, it's probably an ongoing thing. I think the thing that impresses me is you're not afraid to try, different styles, or, if you get like a musical influence. So I noticed some of your music is more pop oriented, and now
Mhm.
maybe the folk country influence of Nashville creeps in. And I think that's interesting that, you feel free to still experiment with styles.
I think it's important too. Like just for me personally, it's important too because I really I'm I just I don't know. I guess there's a lot to my personality. Like I don't just have one solid like genre. I just think that there's cool stuff in everything. So I mean, even for instance, like on the Gibb Collective thing, when I did the song with my cousin Travis, which is Barry's younger son, he does more EDM and dance music. So he did I Gotta Get a Message, and I did the vocal for it, and then he got to create this really cool track out of just this like little vocal, of part of the line of the song. So like I love that kind of I just love
Mhm.
making music, and hearing how it comes out, just the whole process of it, and that it's always not the same.
Well, you yourself did kind of a reverse of that. Instead of taking an acoustic song and going dance, you took a dance hit that your dad and uncles did for Yvonne Elliman, "If I Can't Have You," and you did
Oh
like this
yeah.
stripped down acoustic version.
Yeah.
I liked it too. I really thought, when you have a good song, it lends
Hmm.
itself to different arrangements and different styles of music just because the writing is so good.
Hmm. Well, and that's yeah. I always felt with that song, it's kind. I kind of there was something too with also with You Win Again, which is it's like more 80s the song itself, but it's more move. I don't know if it's a dance song, but it was done different when I did it a couple for a couple shows on the tour, and I just did this entire broken down version of it where it's just like no, 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 like just I don't know, I can't really explain it, but it might be out there if you ever stumble on it. But that was I liked being able to hear just the song, because sometimes like with the drums or whatever it is, you're not getting that full experience. And I guess I felt that
Mhm.
way with that song as well. Sometimes it's like there's a lot of bells and whistles, like dun 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 da 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 da. It's great and it's fun, but it's also there's a lot that it's like if you just bring it down and you just hear the song itself, it's really just a really nice song.
So this past winter, you put out a Christmas song called "Christmas in a Small Town." And you
Hmm.
had a video, and it was very charming, and I definitely detected some Nashville influence. And I think what's so fun is to see some of your earlier stuff when, the alt rock persona of Samantha Gibb. And it's almost like, is there a little mellowing? Has, Nashville kind of made you a little more traditional now?
Well, I mean, in all fairness, the song was actually written by Kyle Jacobs and Tony Wood. So I didn't write that one. That's not actually our writing, but our friend, he's actually a good friend of ours, Kyle, and we were talking, and we actually did Spiraling. I don't know if you heard that song, but that's a song we put out last year, I think earlier last year. But yeah, so that came out and it was written with Kyle Jacobs, and we kept wanting to do another song together, and then it was coming around Christmas time, and Laz and I were talking about doing a Christmas song. We're like, oh, I think we're cutting it short, to putting it out. And then Kyle was like, I did a Christmas song. Like we've never put it out or anything. I wrote it with Tony Wood, amazing songwriter. I'll just send it to you and just see what you think. So he sent it to me and he was singing on it. And I was just like, I'm like tearing just listening to it. I'm just like, do you want to duet this? Like, what can we do? How I want to cover it. Like, how can we do that? And he's just like, you just do it. Just do you. Like, you cover it. And he's like, it's never been out. Like, I've never released it. So it's fine. And we contacted Tony, and there was a couple, just because I'm personally not a very religious person. I'm not religious really. So there was some little words that I just wanted to exchange so that it wasn't as religious, I guess, like in the sense of like Christmas time. I just wanted to be more about the season, not so much about a specific, I don't know, I guess like Jesus, or I just didn't want it to have a specific names and stuff in there. So there were a couple of changes. Tony was absolutely cool with it. Kyle was cool with it. And then we went in, recorded it, and Kyle's playing on the piano, which it's incredible. And he's the one in the video too. If you did see the video, he's in there as well. And but yeah, so I was just grateful to do the song and to be able to cover it, because it was just it hit my heart, and it reminded me of growing up in England and everything. So because I grew up in like it was Esher, Surrey, which is a very small, kind of just outside of London, little town. So it just really brought me back.
And a few years ago, you did another, I guess, winter theme seasonal song called Memories. Seemed like a nice
Oh
companion
yeah.
piece to that.
Yeah, that one was us. Yes, that was Laz and I.
Mhm. Do you think maybe because you spent so many Christmases in Miami that it was kind of nice to have a traditional Christmas, maybe even one where it would like snow in the winter?
Oh yeah. And well, when I was growing up, we would spend summers and winters. Sometimes spring we'd come, but it was usually summers and winters were in England, and then it was like school time was when we were in Miami. So that was kind of how I grew up. So I did get to see those winters. So that's those were really special. You know.
Mhm. The best of all worlds. Well, I want to go back to your documentary, A Nashville State of Mind, which you did a while back, but it
Hmm.
did some film festivals, got a lot of
Mm,
acclaim. I'm
thank
just
you.
wondering for you, well, what has carried with you for that? Like that was like a crash course to like interview people who are already there and make connections. Are there people from that documentary that, you made some pretty long-lasting connections with?
I'm definitely friends. Like we're connected through, like, with the Instagram or whatever. We kind of support through those networks. Jeremy Lister's probably the one that I stay closer to, but like, even that, like, it's just different. We're all just in different places. But definitely good people. A lot of love for all of them. A lot of them are doing really well now, and like, I mean, there was one guy, our friend Ian, who's now Ian Fitchick, he works with Casey Musgraves and Daniel Tashin as well, he's actually in the film, and he's one of the workers also with Casey. And they've just won a bunch of awards, and I'm just so happy for just seeing them flourishing. And Ricky Young, who's now in the Wild Feathers and has been touring and doing amazing things. Just Lee Nash just blowing up. It's just there's really cool. It's nice watching, even if it's from afar. I'm just really proud of all of them, and just I'm glad I got to experience filming and working with them for this little bit of time. Just a little moment in time to kind of capture.
If you made a follow-up documentary today and talked to the new crop of performers and songwriters in Nashville, how do you think it would be different?
Oh wow, I think it's so different now. I mean, even with social networking, all of it's so different. I mean, back then it was just like, just make sure you text all your friends. You know what I mean? There wasn't, it was,
Mhm.
yeah, there was that stuff, but wasn't as, I don't know. I don't know. It took a lot. I mean, even once it was finished, I was so proud and so happy it was done. But also at the same time, of, it took a lot out of me. You know what I mean? So I think if I were to to embark on that, I would definitely need some help. But I think, I would probably just try to honestly revisit all those people and see where they are now. That would
Hmm.
probably be my way of going into it, because they're all there's so much that's going on. Even if they're not, winning an award, they're doing really incredible things. Like my friend is doing the great children's music and doing some really amazing stuff. It would just be nice to revisit all of them.
Because one thing about Nashville,
Mhm.
if you hire like session musicians, they're like some of the best musicians, and
Oh
we
yeah.
always connect, a brand name or, oh, a star name, unless you have this brand name, people, don't know who you are. But the thing about Nashville, you hire some studio musicians, they're probably better than half the professional people that are brand names out there.
Oh yeah. They just sometimes it's like even just not having the means or not being able to have the time to get out because they have to work this other job. I mean, yeah, it's pretty. I mean, you literally you go to the store and you're talking to somebody and you're all of a sudden talking about music and they have a band and I'm exchanging Instagram information and like, oh, let me know, because there's just and what's incredible and what's really cool is that just those that random person right there that you just talked to for 5 minutes, when you see them get on stage, they're wailing like you're just like blown away. You're just like, who,
Mhm.
what? Like you just bagging groceries, dude. This is amazing. Like, why, what? Like, how are you doing this? And how is that happening? You know, it's
So
crazy.
Chase the Jaguar.
Hmm.
Is that like an artist that you developed with Meg Studios?
Yeah, we were helping to with working with them, and they're incredible. These two brothers, just incredible. They had a band, but the two brothers, the Fox brothers, I've known them for since I was young, and they were wanting to kind of branch out, and they had 3 songs to do. We did an EP and help produce and put them out and everything. But unfortunately, it's sad because the world we live in now, it's not just you can't just play a lot and then all of a sudden, it happens. You have to be really socially media active as well. You have to be kind of sharing things and kind of it's crazy to me, but it is what it is. Sadly, in my opinion, it sucks because you can still have all the talent and do all the work on the one side, but you might not be very social media savvy, and it's gonna hinder you. It's crazy that is even down to check marks and things like that. Like, I'm struggling to get a check mark. Like, I'm just
Mhm.
and it's not because I want to have that I don't feel I need a verification, but when I reach out to people or someone say I met with my dad or I met with just growing up, I'm reaching out to them and they're not going to think twice if there's not a check mark when I'm talking about my dad or things like that. Like, so I
Mhm.
said, I'm like, it's difficult because I want to collaborate. I want to reach out to people or people that I've met in the past, but I do the same thing. I mean, if somebody reaches out and I start reading a little bit and they don't have a check mark, I'm like, I'm not gonna believe
Mhm.
that they are who they are. It's sad and that's what's going on. But I'm kind of like, man, just like these check marks, why do they mean so much? And it's unfortunate because I do have a background name. I know I'm not famous and I'm not on doing, shows or whatever, but I still work hard and I'm just trying to get my music out. And just with that, I can't be able to
Mhm.
get kind of the acknowledgement, the fact of that I am who I am. It's crazy.
Do people ever mix you up with Cynthia Gibb?
Hmm. No, I haven't gotten that one.
Well,
I've got mixed up with PETA before. PETA and I have been.
here's what's so funny with the new generation, and I really don't hate on the new generation because I was young once too. It's not a crime to be young, but whenever I hear young people who like don't know who the Beatles are, I go, "Oh, come on." And I'm just wondering, do you ever come across someone who does not know who the Bee Gees are?
Absolutely. I have an 11-year-old son. Like, I mean, well, he knows because we talk about it, but I like it's not, I think even when I was starting to grow up, it's like, especially in America, like back when like it was like more 90s and stuff, like people weren't, it was almost in school, it was almost like I was teased for it. So it wasn't necessarily like a positive.
Hmm.
Um, but
Because on
yeah,
the one
there's
hand, well, isn't it weird? It's like, you want to be out there on your own merits. So maybe a little anonymity is good. But then maybe when, oh, it wouldn't be so bad to at least have that to open a door. But then they don't recognize the name. So it doesn't open the door. So it's like damned if you do, damned if you don't.
No, I mean, I gotta say, like, it was after once my dad passed, the doors weren't opening. Like, that was, he definitely, when he was alive, it was, that the people were right there. But when he passed, it wasn't the same. So I feel,
Mhm.
it's important to that. I guess that's where it's also, I'm grateful, although, work ethic wasn't this kind of trained, mentality growing up. But I do think that because I watched my dad work and I wanted to do what he was doing, I paid attention to that. And it took a lot of work. It wasn't
Mhm.
just there. So I think that benefited me in some way. I don't know. Again, I think I feel like I've
Mhm.
gone off track of what you asked, but
No, that's good. When I was reading about the Gibb Collective, and PETA had an interesting thing to say because her father passed away when she was so young, and
yeah.
she was talking about when she discovered more about her father, and when you get to a certain age, when some of it more sinks in. Where I think she was saying, yeah, she knew her father was a singer, but then at a certain point, it kind of kicked in. Oh wow, he was really famous.
Hmm.
And did you like have moments because you were born after Saturday Night Fever and after certain phases of your dad's career? So for you growing up, you probably got to experience like a lot of the post Saturday Night Fever, and maybe a more, finding his grounding and recreating himself.
I think at the time when I was born too, it was, I mean, early. I was born 1980, so I think my brother he could definitely got some of the fever. That period he got to see a bit of that. But my dad overall, like I think he definitely, like, he liked going to the movies. He liked just grilling out and like hanging out. Like, so it was never. I never really got that side of him. It was only, I guess, and because it wasn't like the fever was going on at that time, so there wasn't a lot of like, I mean, I'd see people coming up and there would be moments, but overall it was more of downtime. And I think he was at that point just a working musician. Like, and
Hmm.
that was what I got to witness, was a working musician. This is what, these are the moves. These are what you got to do. Go in the studio, you work from this time to this time, you come home, boom, boom. Okay, album release. This is what you do. This is the steps. And now it's like all this extra work comes in,
Hmm.
but it's, that was, I'm grateful that I got to see all that, because I do think it helped me, um, at least know some, continue to have some work ethic and really know that there has to be the work in order to get where you want to go.
Well, by the late 70s, the Bee Gees had so many hits. I mean, we're just dominating, the pop charts, and not only with their own music, but writing and producing other artists. I'm sure there's all these records of, Guinness World Records of, how many songs in the top five that they either did themselves or had written and produced for other people. But then there was, the dry period in the 80s. They're so saturated, and then, they had to produce for other people, rather recording a lot of these songs, almost going undercover a little bit.
Mhm.
And did you witness any of that where, writing so high, and now, like you're saying, just being more like a working musician again?
Yeah, I mean, I think just say like when they were doing that stuff, like, sorry, can you say it again? Sorry.
Oh, well, just when, from, being superstars to just being in the studio, producing for Dionne Warwick, and,
Hmm.
writing songs for Barbara Streisand, which were also very successful. but they were, not singing the lead. They were, just being working musicians in the studio, which they were very good at. But it was a
Mhm.
different kind of way where, they weren't, the face of the music at that point.
Yeah. I think they probably just needed that, I mean, I would even imagine going through all of the stuff they went through, just needing kind of a moment to just acknowledge the writing instead of, judging them or what their music is, because the
Hmm.
fact, I mean, yeah, which it's crazy because I was watching a show and I heard a song and I'm just like, that sounds like Uncle Barry. That sounds like the Bee Gees. Like, I haven't heard this song. And I checked and it was Marley Pert Drive, which is from the Odessa album. And I'm not as familiar. I've listened to it a few times, I listened to it, but it was just not as familiar. And I was just like, this is a really cool song. Like, shit, very country, super country. And so I think, oh God, I lost my thought again.
See, one thing that the Bee Gees, when they started going incognito for other people, they created the country classic "Islands in the Stream,"
Yeah.
with Dolly Parton, Kenny Rogers, and that alone should give you a ton of cred in Nashville.
Me? Oh,
Well,
it doesn't
just
work
I
that
think
way. It doesn't
I
work that
think
way.
the Gibb name in Nashville, just because, however many degrees of separation, I mean, that was pretty major, and it was, I think, so cool for them to go from, being branded from the disco era to writing a country classic.
Hmm.
I mean, isn't
I
that
mean,
cool? Do you think that's where you got maybe your genre, without boundaries?
I don't think it was necessarily just from that. Like I said, like growing up, like my dad, "Hold Her in Your Hand" was a song that my dad would do when I was probably like 8 years old. And I remember him coming home and showing the video, and that's a full on country song.
Hmm.
So I feel it's always been rooted. Hence, maybe why when I did come to Nashville, there was this automatic feeling of feeling at home. And especially when sitting around a bunch of musicians and you're just passing a guitar around, this energy that I felt like was just this is what helps me grow. This is what's going to make me better. This is a beautiful, amazing, amazing thing. I think that it was, yeah, sorry, go
Well,
ahead.
during that lean period when, US radio wasn't playing the Bee Gees as much in the 80s, they had a huge hit in the UK, "For Whom the Bell Tolls."
Hmm.
Uh, have you ever wanted to record that?
I love the song, but it's not been necessarily a song that's like was one that I was drawn to doing.
Hmm.
I think, like I said, like a lot of what I'll try to do is I'll pull out, like I'll even try, like I've been searching through like old tape stuff and everything like that, like just things that I've had for years. And Laz and I kind of sit with and just different writing and see if there's something there that we can use. And like Railroad, it had come out, but it kind of got put under the radar. So we were just like, let's do like Railroad because it's not something that people are very familiar with. And
Hmm.
and that's kind of, yeah, I've kind of gone that way around it because the idea of if there's music out there, it's like with his studio. Like that's why when he passed, we wanted to create Meg Productions and the studio because we can't let all this just go to waste. Like we have to, and I want musicians in here using this. Like I want people playing. We have the piano from the studio. I'm like, I want them to feel the experience of playing on this piano, to play those guitars. You know,
Hmm.
um, and get inspired by it, because musicians, we love that shit. Like, that's so cool. Like, who played that? Like, it inspires you. So I wanted to keep a place in a safe space like that. And I love making and pulling some songs that are those little gems that I remember and trying to just make sure that some people can hear them. Like, don't forget those ones. And these are some cool little, like, I think Wildflower was another one that we're wanting to do.
Oh, very good.
Yeah.
Well, we're going to enter our home stretch here, but before we wrap up, still have a few more questions. But before we do, I want to make sure people know where to find you. And I know you're on different social media. So, where's the place to not only hear and buy your music, but just to, read up on you? I know have a really extensive website and, really good bio there. Is there any other places you like to hang out online?
Um, I guess, Facebook, Instagram, I'm typically on. Uh, Definitely, Spotify. Oh, well, I mean, those are just the streaming places where you can hear music and stuff. But yeah, I mean, website's always good, but definitely Facebook or Instagram. Yeah, those are
Excellent.
good ones.
Excellent. Well, I suggest YouTube because then they can
Oh, of
find
course.
YouTube. And if they
Of
dig
course.
deep, they will find you doing a song called Bottled Up Love, performed in the Smoky Mountains.
Wow. That was actually written a very great friend of mine sent me lyrics, and sadly he passed away, and he sent me the lyrics on Valentine's Day, and he wanted to write a country song, and so we turned it into that song. And
Oh,
it's
wow.
actually really sweet because like everything for that song too, we're saving all the proceeds for his daughter, who's, I would say, she's about 7 years old now. So when she turns 18, hopefully we'll have a little nest egg for her.
Oh, that's a great tribute. And I don't know, I think, you've got your edginess, but there seems to be a very sentimental side to Samantha Gibb.
Oh, I'm a very emotional person. I'm tearing. I just saying that I got teary. So yeah, but yeah,
But that's the power of music.
yes,
And
yeah.
it seems like, could you ever do anything else but music?
I mean, I like doing lots of things, but I think as what I want to do with my life, like in that field, absolutely no. I definitely, music it just kind of vibrates through me. I don't know. Like I don't think I could change that. It's just
Who
it's
you
in
are.
me. Yeah.
Now, do you have kids?
I do. I do. I have a son.
Okay, now how do you pass on music to your son?
He is actually he's on the chorus of the song of Good Lovin'.
What was that like to work with him?
It was awesome. He's amazing. I mean, he is just he's still figuring out what he likes to do. He's doing violin right now, and he's digging that. And of course, like everyone's like, why is he not doing guitar or like piano? I'm like, because he wants to do violin, man. Like, let the kid live. Like he just wants to try violin. So we'll
Hmm.
see, like he's just starting to get into sports. He's about to go out, I guess, in Nashville, or at least in Tennessee, I guess. Fifth grade is he's going now into middle school. So fifth grade is considered middle school here. So he
Okay.
just graduated, and now he's going into like fifth to eighth, and getting to do a lot more things, especially with music and even with drama, or just all the arts and stuff. So I'm excited for him to kind of see what he likes. But he had fun, like, well, just kind of getting him in the studio. Like even when he was little, he loved having a microphone, and give him a drumstick and a microphone, he was a happy kid.
Well, in Nashville, is it a violin or a fiddle?
It depends on where you are. It depends on if you it depends on if you're in a bar or if you're in a concert hall. Isn't that crazy? I just found
Exactly.
this out. Yeah. I just found that out.
Uh, he'll probably get more gigs in Nashville if he does it as a fiddle.
Yeah, exactly. Well, it's what's great because his teacher she's incredible, and she does different work with fiddling as well as the viola and the violin. Like she does all of it. So it's funny because he just wants to, like, any like YouTube songs, or like, I'd be like, sheesh, that's it on the beach, and he's just like, that's what he wants to learn. I'm like, dude, whatever's gonna inspire him.
And that's great. The new generation has to forge their own sound.
Yeah, and it's just to encourage, like let them figure things out, and
Exactly. Well, that's so cool that you can work with him and, he can be part of your thing and learn what mom does.
I mean, he's into both. Like dad does film, and he's definitely very visual, and he loves to create videos too. So we'll see what he falls into.
Excellent. All right. So before we talk about your new upcoming song this fall, I just, you have to indulge me on a couple more name dropping. So tell me if this story is true. because I read it on Wikipedia, so who knows? But so your Uncle Barry, back in 2006, bought a home in Nashville that once belonged to Johnny Cash and his wife, June Carter Cash. And while he was remodeling it, it burnt down.
Yes, that is true.
Well,
Yeah.
gosh, he could have been your neighbor. You could have hung out with Barry in Nashville.
Well, I mean, we're friends. It's not like I don't talk to him, like I could definitely, it's not like we're not close. It's just a matter of like, I can't, like, I'm not going to set you up with this, his schedule. Like some people will ask me and stuff. I'm just like, I don't talk, and like, this is not, but no, yes, he got the house out there, loved the house. And actually I got to go out there because when we were filming A Natural State of Mind, me and the crew and the film crew and everybody, we all went out there to see if we could film out there because my uncle was like, it's okay, like you can use the property, because we thought it'd be really amazing, and especially for these artists, like that would have been epic for them to be able to go and just sit and like jam on like right, but like in June, where June Carter was, and like Johnny Cash, that is just incredible. So we went out there and we saw the place, left, and I think about a week or something later, everything, oh no, we went there after. It was after it burned down, and the property was already flattened, and they were getting ready to sell it. Sorry, that was totally, yeah.
Oh my
But
God.
we were able to go to like the June's garden, and all that was still safe and everything, and like the walk down to where I guess he had like a little boat or something. It was a little boathouse place. That was
Wow.
there. We were able to walk around, but yeah, it was after. It was actually after, and afterwards, I think, it was just my uncle didn't feel it was right to build something new and do all that on it. So I think he sold it. But
See,
but
so I
yeah,
just pictured all these barbecues you could have had sitting on the front porch drinking, sweet tea and all that. Oh well, it wasn't
it
meant
was
to be.
incredible. It was incredible energy there, though. I must say, it was definitely a beautiful piece of land. Sad
Okay.
what happened.
All right. Well, before we talk about the new song, one last thing. And here I thought, I knew a lot. I learned one little detail about your dad. And this is, of course, all before you were born. But he was once married to Lulu. Before your
Yeah,
mom, he was married to the Scottish singer Lulu.
yeah,
And I didn't know that.
yeah.
So you learn something new. So the music industry is just so interconnected, and the deeper you go, there's always these connections, and it's just forever fascinating. I mean, do you just ever get fascinated by just all, if you made a graph of who knows who worked with who, and it's just a very fascinating how everyone's out there just coming across everyone. I think music is really the only industry where you just come across so many people, whether you're touring, recording. I mean, have you found that in your career?
Yeah, absolutely. Incredible people, and just people that inspire you, which is incredible. Just yeah. I mean, I think you can. I mean, you meet people in all kind of walks, but definitely there's some cool experiences within that world, because again, I mean, it's a world that, especially if you are successful in it, there's a lot of travel, there's a lot of people, there's a lot of action. So if you're paying attention, there's some really amazing and beautiful moments in all that, you know.
Well, you've toured in England in the
Mhm.
past, done
Mhm.
some cool gigs in London. Do you think at this point in your life you're ready for another London trip?
A London trip, absolutely. But a tour, you know what it would really boil down to is just having it taken care of for me, because I've done a lot of that legwork. Like I did the management of touring, I've done the booking of touring, I've done a lot of those aspects, and it was great and fun. When we did that tour, actually at the end of it, I found out I was pregnant, so I realized why I
Oh,
was so tired. But
oh yeah.
doing all of that, and just kind of having to go into the room, talk to the people, get everything set up, and then I have to go back, get ready, and go on stage. It was a matter of working those two wearing those two hats, or the few hats that you wear when you have to do something like that. It does wear on you. So
I would be absolutely open for it if there was help involved, you know? So
Mhm.
that's
I don't know. I'm always stuck thinking of the swinging 60s, and it's funny how in England they kind of have their revival every 20 years or so. There's always like a new British invasion in the US of the new sounds coming over here. So it just seems like one of those places to like soak up a lot of inspiration.
where in England?
In England, yeah, yes,
Yeah,
especially
yeah.
London. Well, is there any special place that you go to for inspiration? Do you like head over to Austin, Texas, or what are your special places to inspire you?
Um, to be honest, I really love St. Augustine. If we're gonna like name a place that I love and I feel very kind of inspired and my head feels clear and it can like receive things, that's a really beautiful place. I love St. Augustine.
Okay,
Um,
okay.
and honestly, in Nashville, it's just being here is inspiring for me. I'm grateful that I'm able to have a community out here, and I have some family out here, whether it's the maid family or whether it's blood, it's still my family. So I'm grateful to have that stuff out here, and to be able to work and be able to just be a working musician, to be able to do what I do and just keep putting music out and be able to make that a livelihood for myself, you
Mhm.
know?
You did a song called "Back Where I Started Again,"
That was an old one.
an old one, and it seemed like that especially had a lot of meaning for you.
Well, I mean, now it was really about a boy. Like, it wasn't much to it. It was just kind of going back in circles with this one kid that I liked.
Mhm.
That's where that one really stemmed from. So sorry, it wasn't that deep though.
See, here at the title, "Back Where I Started Again," it just sounded so epic, like, a full circle.
You're like, oh,
Well,
this is gonna be a good story.
oh my god. You see, I thought this, was gonna bring it back to, I don't know, something profound, but do you have a song like that? Like, now when you look back, whether or not, like, the song itself is profound, just the time in the studio when you made it, or, maybe something that you worked on with your dad?
Um, the bridge was pretty cool. That was pretty awesome. I got my brother and I got to write on that, and my dad as well. We all wrote a verse, and he asked us to come in and do it, and we each got to sing on it. So that was probably, and it's the only thing I ever got to. It's the only time I got to really sing with my dad. Like he would do
Mhm.
harmony, like Luna Park. So you'll hear it. You can hear him low down there because him and my brother were kind of matching and stuff and trying to build the track, whatever, building the track. But anyway, so yeah.
Well, it's good that you have that. And again, one unique thing you have, the rest of us have photo albums, but you have, songs on vinyl, as
Mhm.
a diary, special album.
And
Okay.
my dad was a big camera guy, so I got lots of footage at least of being able to see things through his eyes sometimes, not necessarily always on him, but it's nice seeing what he was seeing and feeling. So
Do you think you'd ever compile some of those photos, and do something with?
I think absolutely, yeah. I mean, I kind of tend to do that. That's even with memories. That was something that we did, and it was pretty cool because it was snowing. So we at the time, my husband and I we lived in a place that had a big barn, and up top you could flash down. So we basically lit up so the snow looks like a screen. So we were
Hmm.
able to project onto the snow, and Laz and I were able to sit there, and you see our us within these videos, and it was all like old videos of me growing up and touring with the boys and my uncle Herbie, my mom's brother, and just
Hmm.
yeah, good times. So definitely, I think that I wouldn't be opposed to using and putting something together like that.
It
Yeah.
sounds like just, you putting together, the super band, with the cousins, that there's just something about you that is the ringleader bringing people together to preserve your legacy.
I don't know about that, but I do like bringing people together, and it does make my heart happy. So I'm grateful that I've been able to do what I have thus far.
Okay. Well, if not you, which of the cousins is the biggest legacy preserver in the family?
You know, I would I that's that's a loaded question.
And
I
you
don't
know,
know.
you can ponder that. I'm sure you all in your own ways contribute meaningfully in different ways.
When it comes to music, definitely Travis, Steven, Spencer, Rajay, like they're making music. Like those guys, I can't put them on any levels of what's better or not, but I know that they're all making music, and they do love doing it, you know. So but yeah, I guess I'm the one more actively presently putting out music, but they all make music, and they're all, you know, maybe they don't have something out right now, but they are worth checking out and seeing what they're doing, you know.
Oh, absolutely. So you got a lot of momentum with Good Lovin' now. So what's been the response so far?
It's been good. It's been a really I'm grateful with the loving response that I because that's exactly what I wanted for it, was just to have a really positive effect, you know. There's of course people that are like, you know, like the Bee Gees didn't have to curse in music, and I'm like, "No, okay, this is why the song makes sense." Like this, I'm not a BG, honey. Like let's
Oh
clear this
no.
up, you know. Like
Well, don't tell me. Did any of the Bee Gees curse in real life when off stage?
That's a funny dance. Yeah, yeah, absolutely. I don't think they'd be mad at me saying that either.
Well, now that you have momentum, that's the best time to release another song. So it
Mhm,
seems like, you're supercharged now. You've got some output, you know.
mhm.
So what's this next song, and when is it coming out?
The next song is "Sorry Not Sorry," and it will be coming out. I'm pretty sure we're set, I think, on September. So not exact on the date, but it'll be September this year.
See, that from the title alone sounds very sassy.
It really, the irony though is that these songs weren't written back to back. Even "Sorry Not Sorry" is written with our friend Jennifer Aiden, so it's not even with Jim Lawton. So they are two songs because we've been working with different artists and different writers, and these were the two that felt like my voice, like I felt like I can, you know, dig my teeth into, because this felt like I my core, you know. So this song and "Sorry Not Sorry" just hit my core, and these are the two that we felt were the best to help, you know, to represent myself in this little process of what we're doing right now.
Now, is Sorry Not Sorry a ballad, or is it something more up tempo?
I mean, I hate to I'm not very like good on describing um like what I feel it sounds like, but I think the one thing that Laz and I kept saying was Halsley is a little bit, it has a bit of that vibe. It's more of, it's like it's a slow, but it's there's a movement to it, so it's not a slow song, but it's also not a fast song. It's that mid tempo, I guess, is how to best
Mid
describe
tempo.
it. Yeah,
And are you going to do a video to it?
we are figuring that out actually. We definitely want to, but we're gonna feel it out and see how what kind of concepts we feel, because we know we have a little bit of time, but we also are, you know, it's we want to make sure we have everything for the release. So
If you did, like, location scouting, I love in a video when people pick a cool location. So, is there any like cool place in Nashville you would just love to film a music video in?
I mean, there's a lot of cool places. I love the railroad areas. I do. And there's just a really cool, like in the Gulch, not the Gulch, but like the industrial area. I have a friend who has a bar out here. She's got this really cool, it's just super cool, Old Glory. It's awesome. Really just old building, old construction. She just worked it out, and it's just a really cool. That would be probably a cool place to shoot, to be honest. So like I definitely, there are thoughts and ideas of places, but those are like, I guess, what come to mind right now.
Well, with what you're doing individually and with Meg and all your collaborators, do you think you're creating a unique Nashville sound and creating your own, niche Nashville scene?
You know, that's hard to say, because I mean, Nashville is very I would never want to come into Nashville and assume that I'm creating a sound or you know what I mean? Like, it's just, it would be disrespectful to Nashville and to the music and the art that comes out of here. Like, I think just if what I'm making and the songs that I'm writing are relatable or connecting, and then that's all that matters to me. It doesn't have to be I'm creating this big boom here in Nashville. It's just I am grateful to be a part of the community here, to learn from it, to be able to work with the artists out here, and I just want to keep doing it. So I'm good either way.
But there's a little part of you. I think just, the Meg, I think you're a good role model for people who, if there's not opportunity knocking on your door, you're creating your own opportunity. You're helping other people. Do you think that's a spirit a lot more people should have, rather than it's all about me, creating a community so that you can help each other?
Absolutely. And I do think that it is out here. I don't think I'm the only one with that mentality. But I appreciate you saying that, and I do feel that way. But I feel that who I am, I just want to be incorporative, and I want to make sure that we all can work together. That's my goal.
Well, I'll give you the last word here. And I think you're at a very interesting point in your career, because you've done a lot and you've had different bands, and you've got to try different styles. So knowing what you know now and having almost like, a fresh start, a new round of songs coming out, how would you like to be spending the next couple decades of your career?
Writing, and honestly, writing, putting out music, pitching music, and spending time with my family. That's it. That's what makes me happy.
And how many years do you think it'll take before you take to the Grand Ole Opry stage?
Oh, that's a feat. I don't know. I mean, it would be an incredible opportunity and experience. But hey, I'm just making music, and the kind of music I make doesn't really fall into the Grand Ole Opry. So, I mean, depending. I mean, maybe Christmas in a Small Town. Maybe that song. But the stuff I'm doing, it is a little different, and it's not as the tradition to Nashville. To a lot of the, like the Opry and things like that. But maybe the Ryman. I can maybe that could be like a nice little goal, as the Ryman.
I like that. And is there a full Christmas album in your future?
You know what? I don't know. We've thought about it. We thought about doing where we do a couple of our, like, well, Laz and I talked about writing some of our own songs, and then incorporating a couple covers of some Christmas songs that we just thought we liked, or even just holiday songs, not necessarily just Christmas, because I'd like to incorporate more than just one. So we'll see.
You see. And is there a chance there will be another album by the Gibb Collective?
No, I'm sorry, but probably not. Just because everybody, they all kind of just do. Not everybody, but a lot are just they're not even like they're not in the music industry. So like, for instance, like Peta, she's a teacher, so she just did it because she loves, just wanted to be a part of it, and just was very in love with the idea of doing this together. So I love that she did it. I appreciate so much that she did it, but I also can't like ask her like, okay, take another couple months out of your life to, it's a lot. It took a lot out of everybody. And sadly, with that as well, you can't, in order for things to be very successful, you have to promote them and you have to kind of, really put it out there. And nobody was able to really do that except for myself and like a couple others. So it was, unless we had the whole collective, people aren't really intrigued. So that was kind of the sad part about that. But also I'm just grateful we were able to do it and they all came together to make it happen, because there needed to be a tribute, and I'm just grateful.
I like that. What makes it all the more special in that it's rare, a unique place and time. Well, uh, Samantha, I want to thank you for not only sharing all this cool information, but just being inspiring, I think, to other musicians. The new single, Good Lovin', we've got another one to look forward to in a few months. Sorry, Not Sorry. I know you're just going to tear it up on the scene just with that title alone. Probably give Ariana Grande a run for her money. And
Oh, thank you.
and just to close, to say, you know what, every now and then it's more than appropriate for a Gibb to use the F word.
To curse.
All right, Samantha, well, take care and have a great day in Nashville.
All right, you too. Take care. Thank you so much. I appreciate you. Thank you so much.